is that? Oh my god, what is that? Oh my god!
And if you found this recording, you have to share it, or it'll be after you too.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Voices from the Mausoleum, and welcome to an episode of Found Footage Fridays series, where we talk about found footage on Fridays with my co-host, Mike and Serial.
Hey, y'all. Welcome to Found Footage Fridays. Hope you're having a great Friday. Hope it's even better now that you're listening to us.
All right, we're continuing our trek through the Japanese horror analog series Yami Douga, or Tokyo
Videos of horror.
Videos of Horror. I keep wanting to say movies. It's like the McKinney video thing. I always want to say McKinney tapes. I don't know. It all clusters together after a while. Yeah. So, if you didn't see last week's episode, maybe do that first. But we're gonna continue on. This will be our second. We're gonna cover the second episode. You can watch these on Found. There's like a billion of them. So, if it's something you're interested in after you hear our review, if you have not seen them, there's tons to get through. So, but it's Asian horror, it's analog, anthology, and it's found footage. So, sign us up. All right, so I guess we'll kind of jump in. Oh, and I guess there's not really like a synopsis per se, but the overall concept is there are these really bad things that happen naturally through the forces of darkness in the world in real life, and sometimes cameras capture them. Anyway, so non-spoiled thoughts.
Well, and if you're jumping in for the first time without seeing last week's episode, these are exclusively on Found TV. You know
Yes.
we love them.
Yep.
But unspoiled thoughts.
Yeah.
I'm having a fun time with this series.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I will say, I
Mhm.
think some of the narratives from the first installment, so
Mhm.
last week's episode, I think
Yeah.
the narratives are stronger. I think in this installment, the vibes are darker.
Yeah.
These
I can
are
agree with that.
heavier. Like, they're darker in theme, they're heavier in theme.
Yeah.
I won't say they leave you the same way the last segment of the last episode we did,
Mm-mm.
but I think more consistently,
Yeah.
these were a little bit heavier because I think the topics were a bit heavier.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah.
overall, still having a good time. Still think there's so much creepiness to these. I will say, for me, the one criticism that I now have, now seeing two, and I could
Mhm.
see it bleeding over and being an issue.
Yeah.
We need to now have something different than there's a face in the background.
Yes.
Like,
I agree.
you're telling great stories. I love the ambiance. I love the
Yeah.
vibes. And they're still creepy, but the same pan over and there's a face in the table. There's a face in the
This
fence.
one was at least a little better than the other one that we
Well,
talked about. But yeah,
none of them had that hokiness that some of them from the first did.
I agree.
But
Yeah.
now I'm just like, you gotta
Let's
give me
do
something
something different.
other than a
Yeah.
face.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Yeah, I'm really liking these too. I mean, like I said, these check a lot of boxes for just things that we like in general. This one was much darker. I found myself only really like thrown off by I think one of them. And the transition from story to story was a little muddy compared to the first installment. The first installment, it was clear cut, new title, new segment. Whereas this, it kind of did this weird, like, oh, here's a little bit of the segment and then a title, like an intro and then. But they are, because the people telling the story are the same, it gets a little complicated to tell the difference between the switchovers. But yeah, so I think this is I think this definitely goes darker. I think this was more I would say more of these segments were atmospheric. in terms of what you're looking for, what you're experiencing. And yeah, I don't really have much of it. I would also like to see us get away from the face in the background thing. Certain faces in the background work great, and we'll get there
Yeah.
when we get to spoilers. There was one in particular, but there was one in this one where I was like, because also I think it's like one of the shorter ones, and I'm like, why do they keep doing this to us? Like, yeah, because the effort and the effects and the buildups are there. We've seen what they're able to do with the other segments, so it'd be nice. And I know these are like little breaks; these are like little mini, and I get that, but like, I need something a little bit more. But other than that, I think I really liked. I think in this one, I technically liked more segments than in the first one, as far as like really like. But yeah, I think it's really good. I'm having fun with it too. I mean, even if we don't continue to cover, because we're going to decide how we feel after the fact, but I I'm probably going to eventually watch all of them because I love stuff like this.
Yeah. I
Um,
agree. There's no way I'm not gonna finish watching these. Found TV, the more you crank out, the more I'm gonna watch. It it's a fun series so far.
yeah, I agree. What do you rate this one?
You know what? I'm gonna ride the wave right now. And last week I gave it a 6, and I'm gonna keep it at a 6 with this one as well, because I got the same feelings, probably for different reasons,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
overall, there's still flaws, but they're
Mhm.
not awful. Uh,
Mhm. Yeah.
it's enjoyable to watch. I
Mhm.
am intrigued by so many different stories that they have. And I also like, what I'm really enjoying
Mhm.
is it feels very folk horror-ish, like uh international folk horror. Like some
Yeah,
of
yeah,
these
yeah.
stories are definitely feeling very urban legendy.
I agree. Yeah.
And I'm enjoying that. So 6, we're still sticking with 6.
Okay. Yeah, so I think overall, the first installment had one really strong one for me that I just really, really liked and was just like wow with. And I feel like this one had more than just one that I really, really liked. And so for that, I'm gonna actually go up a little bit, and I'm gonna give it 7.5 out of 10 tapes. I was funny because we started talking about it before we started the episode technically. Um, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't even really think I liked 2." And then I started thinking about the segments, and I was like, "Damn, I think I like 2 better than the first one." But, that's why we do this, right? We have to talk about these things, figure out how we feel. But no, I would say 7.5. I think that this one had, the so far, the 2 episodes collectively are not very consistent as far as energy, right? But I would say this one kept the tone more consistently probably than the first one, because the first one had a couple of little silly ones in there that kind of just like they took you out of whatever atmosphere it was building, whereas this one you were able to sit with it a little bit longer. You know what I'm
Now I get
saying?
what you mean by consistent. I
Yes.
thought when we first talked, I thought the consistency was going to be like you really liked the first and you thought
Oh
the second
no,
was trash.
I meant like it's hard because I mean you're watching like anthology horror is like that though. You're writing,
Yeah.
like you said, you're writing the wave of the different types of stories, and they're not all meant to be the same. They're not created equal. A lot of times in other types of anthologies, they're written by different writers and directors. And so I'm kind of used to the push and pull of that type of vibe. But I feel like because they are collecting these stories in a sense of like a mockumentary or whatever something equivalent to that would
Yeah.
be, I feel like it should be more consistent. But I think what's happened is some of the ideas sound scary, but in execution they were kind of silly, and then you're like meh, and you're like pulled out of it, right?
Yeah.
So but no, I really liked this one. I'm like I said, regardless of whether we decide to cover all of them, because there is a bunch, we I'm gonna continue the series because I do really like it, and I think it's very well done. So
Yeah.
okay, let's do our little spoilers so no one panics. Spoilers ahead. Do you have somewhere you want to start with spoiler wise for this one?
Kind of.
Okay.
I have a spot that covers more than one spot. Uh so for me, and I'll let you go into more of the details of some of these stories because I know you had thoughts on them. I
Mhm.
think for me, and now I get with what you meant about the consistency, and we kept
Mhm.
saying this one was darker in tone, and I
Yeah.
think the reason why it felt the most consistent for me and why it felt completely dark. I mean, all the stories were dark, but they bookend this installment with the beginning and the end. They're about self unalivings, and that's a heavy topic. They
Yeah.
do it in a very ghosty way, in a very creepy way, the way that they're doing. But no matter what, especially if you are someone who has dealt with that in some
Yeah.
form, it's
Yeah.
a heavy topic.
Yep.
And the adding the layer of creepiness to it just
Yeah.
really, it does something. And so in the first one, that this one to me is where I'm like, I get what they were doing, but it did make me also feel like this was an urban legend.
Mm.
It was, or it could turn into one the way they had it set up. Because
Yeah.
this is the
I
one
agree.
of, was she like a newscaster or something?
So so that's the only thing I'm not 100% sure. I know that they were going to film psychic scenes, but I think I was under the impression they were faking them. And then when she got there, she had like a genuine experience. But
Okay.
I might be misinterpreting that, but that's kind of they were like, "Oh, because he kept saying the psychic shots." He kept
Yeah.
saying that like it was fake, right? And so then yeah, so anyway, but I think it's something like that. Yeah, some type of journalist or something. Yeah.
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 And then, like, then there's the creepiness with the shoes, but I'll
The
let you
shoes.
get into this story just a little bit more. Because, like I said, I
Yeah.
was very into the theme, but like I said,
Yeah.
wasn't sure if they were journalists, newscasters, whatnot.
Something like that.
But
Yeah. Some of it, yeah.
I think this segment was a good start.
Yeah. Well, first of all, the locations and everything that they've done, you feel so strongly. Um, but yeah, I think one of the reasons this one works too is there's a lot of bridge things in Japanese horror,
Yes.
in Asian horror in general. There's a lot of bridge things. There just is. There's a lot. And so there's the bridge curse, there's the bridge game. There's a lot of things associated with bridges, I mean even in the States, like in like the city of Atlanta, they have to build up these tall, fence things to keep people from, from jumping over them onto the highways and stuff. And so naturally, that's like a, it just feels, you just feel the dread immediately when you get that first shot down the bridge. You're just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But I think the reason that this one is so interesting is because of the shoe swap that happens. So they're talking about, oh, this guy, and they're giving you like the little bit of the urban legend stuff, like we were talking about. They're talking about, okay, I was gonna go film and we're gonna go do the psychic, but she like zones out. And he's like, hello, and then she was like out of it. And so they go a little further and then it gets dark and they're walking anyway. They find this pair of red shoes. And he's like, oh my God, did somebody just, do that? And um she's not herself. She's still kind of out of it. And then there's like you don't get to see it fully because it's kind of like off camera, but there's like this moment where I guess she acts like she's going to, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And he like pulls her back. So she disappears. They see this like weird ghosty girl kind of off to the side. They both see her. They acknowledge that, but then eventually he turns around and like the friend that he or his partner or whatever that he's with is gone. So he goes to the car. This is the face that works for me. And she's like she starts falling apart. Like she starts like crying and then there's like that face behind her, but it's upside
Yeah.
down. Okay, so the upside down obviously, right, is because of what this person did, right? So it's dark in and of itself because it's upside down, right?
I love the way your mind works because I just thought it was an upside down
No,
face.
I think it's supposed to be upside down because she's like, anyway, so
No, that makes a
I
lot of sense.
I just assumed because they use something similar like that in another film, but I won't go down that rabbit hole. So anyway, I'm already talking too much about this one. So anyway, so then they never hear from this girl again after that night. They never see her. The guy that knows her like can't get in touch with her. They find security footage in her apartment complex or whatever that she lives in, her building, and when she's coming up the stairs, she has on the red shoes. instead of the shoes that she was wearing, like, I have
Yeah.
goosebumps. Like, I was like, there was something so creepy about. I was like, I don't like that. I don't like that. So anyway, that one
No,
was really good.
and that's again when we saw that these were coming out, and we were like, we want to cover stuff like this because
Yeah.
especially Japanese horror stories, like, or Japanese horror, they will take the most random things and
Yeah.
make them creepy
It's
because,
weird.
like,
It's such a skill set.
yeah, the way that they can tell a story and make you afraid of shoes.
Like, what the hell? I know. And so, like, and yeah, I really liked that one. The other one I want to talk about really quick, because I do want to talk about the last one too, because I think the last one was really, really good. But I didn't really understand the stalker one. They were like, oh, like, okay, so she's like, she has this stalker, and they didn't take her seriously, and then she got hurt. Now she's in like, but then like they show the footage, and you hear all this crazy stuff, but then they're like, "Oh, she has, like, another personality, and she can ventriloquist her voice," and I was like, "We have gone way off the deep end with this story." Right?
I was very confused by that one, and
Yeah.
now I'm remembering this one a lot more, and I actually
Yeah.
did enjoy this one because it was so wild, and maybe it's
Okay.
because I was looking for something different at this particular time,
Yeah.
but, I mean, do I understand it? No, so that doesn't mean it's good,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean
Sure.
it's bad either, but
Yeah.
it's one
Yeah.
of those, I definitely I love psychological horror, so I do
Yeah.
like that they were starting to throw in, like, multiple personalities, but I feel like I needed to, and maybe it was a me thing, but I need to feel more, is this purely psychological,
Yeah,
or is there
exactly.
supernatural elements to
Yeah,
this?
exactly.
Because I was left a little confused, but that's not hard to do to me either.
Well, I no, I didn't understand it, because they were like, "Well, she did all this, but then there's, like, obviously another person there." And they were like, "Oh, it's the same voice." And I was like, "It is not." I was like, so I didn't understand what they were trying. And I guess maybe you're right. Maybe it is good to have like diversity in the sense of like with the types of stories you're telling, but it was such a hard shift from literally everything that we've seen in both that episode and that first installment and this one. They are just kind of like, what? Like I didn't anyway, so I that one kind of confused me, but um
I
and then I
will
want to
say,
oh good.
real before we get into the
No, you're
next one,
good.
I will
Yeah.
say that is a testament to, though, because there are
Mhm.
multiple segments with multiple clips inside those segments,
Yeah.
and that is one that still stuck in our brain, though.
Yeah, that's fair. Unlike the
So I will
baby
give them
rolling
that.
around and then the face in the background. Okay, so the last one, so you were talking about the bookends and the themes of both of
Yeah,
those. This one was sad. So like
very sad.
this, so the final one is the story of these two friends who their high school that they graduated from is being demolished. So they're like, we're gonna go look at it one last time. And while they're there, they're kind of messing around and they're talking about people they know from school, and it just very normal. Feel that part felt very realistic to me. And they're like, they hear noises, so they're like, we're sorry, we used to go to school here. Like they're not even trying to be menaces. They just really wanted to see the building one more time, right?
Yeah,
They're like, graduated. Well, there's like a point where I saw something in the background at one point, but they like didn't fully address it yet. And they were just like, oh, I thought somebody was looking at us, and I just was telling them, "Oh, we're just here to look around." Well, then they get to this room and they're talking, and something comes over the PA and says to come to the biology or the science room or the lab or something like that. And so they go, and there's like a body hanging there. And not only okay, were you impressed with the way this looked? Because I was super impressed. The neck,
I was creeped the hell out,
yeah,
and
Yeah.
I will say, I will use the word, I was disturbed by the
Yeah.
look of this because,
Yeah.
and then they do kind of explain it further, but
Oh, they do, yeah.
so the person's hanging, um, but the neck is so stretched out, elongated that I was like, what is up with this neck? Oh,
Yeah.
it was well done.
Um, it was
That
really,
vision
really
is stuck.
yeah, it was really well done. And so they go up and they recognize him. He was a teacher. And one of the guy holding the camera, like gets up to him and something like spews out of his mouth and he's like, "Oh my god, oh my god." He doesn't react in like an over the top way. He's just like, "Oh my god." He like spit something out on the camera, not a big deal, right? And then the bottom half of the body falls on the floor and it's just the head. And you're just like,
That took me out because I
I
was
was
like,
not
ag-
prepared.
again, the neck was already throwing me off. I was like, why does this
Ugh.
guy have a long neck? Obviously, like, I wasn't, it's not clicking that maybe that happens too, but like seeing
I know
it
what you mean.
stretching and then it falling off, I'm like, oh, so it was literally stretching this
Because
whole
of the
time.
body weight is what it was
Yeah.
saying. He had been there long enough that that had happened.
Yeah. And that was not registering. So I'm
Oh
just like,
god.
I'm like, this guy has a really long neck.
Well, I thought it was just meant to look like a weird effect, but then they outright tell you that that's why it looked like that. There's like that
Yeah.
interview with the other guy and they say like he's like, "No, like we saw that teacher. Like that's who he saw when they were outside talking." And then if that's when it does the slow-mo and
Yeah.
all that stuff again. Um, but then he's like but then the girl talking to the guy one of the guys that was there, she's like, "Well, what happened to your friend that was holding the camera?" Like, he was like, "Oh, we don't really talk anymore." But he was, like, really weird about it. He was like, "We don't talk anymore." And she was like, "Well, is there a way we could talk to him?" And he was like, "I don't really keep up with him these days." Well, then they go to his house. And when he opens the door, this whole part of his face has horrible scarring on it from the stuff that got spit out, and, like, it, like, almost looks like it burned or something. He almost
Yeah.
looks like, and, in the background is the spirit of the teacher. But the other guy, like, talked about the teacher, like, so highly. He was like, "Oh, I remember him, but he didn't get along with that other student." That he would, like, smack him and, like, they had, like, a really not so great relationship. Um, but this teacher, like, was going through some stuff, and he, like, went to the school and, like, did that, and it was depressing and sad. Like,
Yeah.
it was just, like but God, effect-wise, like, even the wounds, like, I thought all of that just looked so, so good.
Yeah,
So,
and this is where I said, like, I do enjoy this, and this is what I'm looking more of is, yes, I want that good story. I want obviously, we're gonna
yeah,
keep into, like, ghosts and hauntings and stuff. We can
yeah,
stick there, but, like, this visual, so we see the guy, he's scarred, and we do see the ghost in the back. That's fine.
yeah,
Like, I'm cool with that. Let's get a
yeah.
little bit more of that. Maybe a little bit of like, if you're gonna do some ghost stuff, like some telekinesis stuff of like stuff moving would be great. I just need for the walls to stop having faces. Just for
I'm
a little
over
bit.
the faces. I'm so worried that's gonna be in, like, every episode, but yeah, I agree, well, and again, because we've seen what they can do. Like,
Yeah.
I want that all the time. Like, even the short we didn't talk about this one, but even the one at the resort, the spa resort,
Yeah.
even that one, it was very short, but I thought it was interesting. Like, they turn and there's, like, something standing there, but it, like, doesn't have a head, and it wasn't there in the previous screen. The head was in the other shot, I guess. But anyway, it's just one of those things where it's like, there are even if you do the short ones, that's cool, but they need to be impactful because you do have these longer ones that, like, we can't stop thinking about or we're, like, really impressed by, so but no, I really liked this one. The bookends, like you said, I think they're dark and they're heavy, but they were very, very well done, and I loved that even though there was kind of that weird relationship between the one kid and the teacher, but ultimately that was a really emotional, humanized version of that. We got the urban
Yeah.
legend part, right? And then we got like a very like real life human side of what that looks like, right? And I think that that was smart. I really like that they did that. It's two different sides of the same coin, you know? So I liked that.
And one thing that we really didn't touch on last episode or this one, I want to do
Hmm.
real fast.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This is also so this is an anthology,
Hmm.
not a not an anthology movie. It like we said, it every single movie, and there's like 20 of them, are all anthologies.
Yeah,
One director.
yeah.
That's crazy.
It's
That is
insane.
crazy
I
talented to
wonder.
me.
I agree.
Like,
I agree. I'm gonna look at
because
the director.
typically when we see anthology movies, even just one, you have every segment has one or more directors involved.
Yeah. No,
So
almost
for
always.
this to
Yep.
be the same director for
Mhm.
every single movie, possibly every single segment, like I think that's so incredibly talented, and I needed to make sure that that gets said at some point as we cover these
Yeah.
because I'm
Yeah.
just like, that's amazing.
I was trying to see if he might have been involved with one of the other movies I was thinking of, but I'm not seeing. It's mostly the Yami Dogas. There's 25 of them. I don't know. Anyway, I was trying to see if he was involved in that other movie I couldn't think of earlier.
No, I have a feeling the movie you're talking about, I don't know the title of it, but it's sounding familiar, and I have a feeling it's by Koji Shirashi.
You don't remember what it's called though?
I want to say it could either be called Cursed or Cult.
Cult. It's Cult. That's exactly the one I'm talking about, where the head comes out from the ceiling. Yeah, that's that
I
one.
don't remember that one too much, but
Oh, well,
or I
I
don't
do.
even think I saw that one.
No,
But yeah, no, Koji Shirashi, he's
that's
super
somebody different.
fantastic
Yeah.
and does things very similar to this.
Okay. Well, I was trying to think, yeah, because I know, like I said, it was kind of like it was very. It reminded me a lot of Noroi, and then I was trying to think of the other one as well. Um, this is somebody different too. I just wanted to check. I needed to know. Oh, that's Koji Shirashi as well. He
Yeah.
did both. Okay, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
he's done a lot.
Anyway, well, yeah, no, I really like this. Like I said, I'm gonna keep watching them,
Yeah.
whether we decide to finish covering them or not. I feel like they might do okay though, honestly, just because
I'm
I haven't seen a lot of
definitely
coverage
I
on
think they
them.
deserve to be sprinkled out here and there for sure.
I Yeah, I agree. So, um, if you've watched these, let us know what you think in the comments. We're always down to know people's opinions on things.
Yeah. And tell us what your
Next,
favorite segments are.
yeah, and which ones you think you like that we're gonna really love when we get to. I'm always down for those kind of conversations. Next week we're covering the Wilderness Tapes. So, is that on Found? Where's that at?
Yes.
That's on Found
That's
too.
also on Found TV.
Everything's on Found. It's on Found TV as well. So if you want to watch that before catching us next week, knock yourself out. All right, cool. Well, that's going to wrap up this episode of Found Footage Fridays. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy your week when you get to it. And Mike and I will see you next week.